Hey everyone, Matt here. It is Wednesday. That is the main event time where we go over our main topics for the week. So if you're watching or listening, this is the meat and potatoes of the episode. If we haven't have any news to discuss as well, that's where we'll talk about it here. For the full episode, check us out on Saturdays. Thanks for watching and listening. Hope you enjoyed. Welcome to yet another episode of Stack Your Points. As always, I'm Matt from Matt Clausen YouTube channel, joined this week by Lani from Call Me Lani. Lani, how are you today, sir?
Sounded much better. I'm almost back to my normal voice. I realized last week was just the trailer to the real movie that came later. I went down this weekend, y'all. This week was rough, but I'm back at it. I came back up. I'm almost done. So you might hear me sniffle. I might cough a little bit, but I'm way better than what I was. But yeah, last episode, that was just the pre-show to what really ended up happening. I went down pretty hard last week.
So was the absolute worst of it while you were arguing needing to your points caps
No,
or discussing the philosophical natures of your points caps?
no. It was funny, and has nothing to do with what Matt's talking about right now, but I thought that I had just had a heavy weekend and ended up like ruining or losing my voice because everything else was fine. There was no headache, no fever, clearly breathing out of both nostrils type of scenario. And then all of that just kind of went away. And I'm like, I'm sick. And that's weird for me to say. That like never happens. I'm from one of those families that the people just never get sick, like period, ever. But when we do, it's bad. And so I'm on the mend now.
Excellent. Longest
intro ever.
No worries. We're also joined by RJ from Do You Take Cards. RJ, how are you today?
I'm good. I beat Chase 524. Like, I was LOL 24, and for some reason they're like, you can have this IHG card. And I'm like, I had got 3 hard pulls for this. Thank you very much. I appreciate it because I'm not getting anything else for a while. So I am in an excellent mood today.
See, I told you. Both of
You did, in fact, tell me. You were the person that pushed me to apply for this card.
I believe both of my co-hosts here have beaten 524. Me, I hate the term, and I'm just going to reluctantly still abide by it. We're going to move over to our news and topic news. The biggest piece of news that happened last week was the announcement of the new JetBlue United Blue Sky Alliance. And as someone who flies JetBlue, and Lani, someone who flies United, I think we talk about it. We're probably going to put a pin in it until we find out more about the program. Sounds interesting from what I've seen. I want to see some more details before I have full thoughts. Lani, did you happen to catch any of the Blue Sky announcement last week?
I did. I have my thoughts. I think it's overall a positive thing, but I honestly just think it's two companies that are making a mutual beneficial decision with one another from a business standpoint, where we as a consumer are going to win, yes, but it's really for them to expand their reach in their business against their competitors. It's like going 2 against 1, I will say.
Now, before we jump into topics, Lani, how long will it be before United just outright buys out JetBlue?
They've done this a couple of times. People don't realize how many times United has acquired well, I don't even think they've merged. Continental was not a merge. Part of the acquisition was using Continental's logo, but they kept United's name. So that's why the United red and blue U are no longer there, and the Continental globe is now the United logo. But that was still a full acquisition, not a merger. I can't go back and even think between the conception from Boeing to where they're at today, where they've actually did a merger. They've all been acquisitions. So I would actually say I would not be surprised to see United acquire JetBlue, give it 3 to 5 years, 5 at the absolute most. And I only say 3 because these things take forever. Even if they started today, it will take 3 years at minimum.
So in the next 5 years, Southwest will be completely gone and JetBlue will be part of United. Cool.
JetBlue has hardware, they have flights, they have routes that United does not have. And to be completely honest, if JetBlue is acquired by United, people like you, Matt, the JetBlue consumers, are the ones that are really going to win.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yep. No, I'm very intrigued by the possibility. I know that United is mostly going to do it for the hardware and for the slots at JFK, but hey, slots at JFK are pretty expensive.
That northeast area,
Yep.
there's not a lot of connection points for United. Yes, they have the DC area. Yes, they have Newark. But when it comes to the big three up there in New York, including Newark, so 2 plus 1, before anyone wants to come at me in the comments, Newark's in Jersey. You know what? Tell your mama I said hi. Anyway, but the simple fact of they would be able to, one, disperse some of those flights, those connections, more international routes, more regional routes, separate the international from regional is probably the first thing they would do. If you're connecting domestically, you're going to connect to this airport. And if you're going to connect internationally, you're going to go through probably Newark the way that it is. Side tangent, Newark finally finished, all the other news aside, finally finished that runway.
Yay.
They can actually get planes out on time. They should. We'll see how this one plays out. But this is just I bring that up because this is one of those things where this could assist. Hey, let us borrow your terminal. Hey, let us borrow a couple of your gates. Let us borrow some of that runway access that you guys have already paid for over there. And this could open up so many more routes, flights, and feasibility through connections in that northeast area, DC and above, that just wasn't there before as well.
Yeah.
And like I said, it can go with the major competitors. It can go with the smaller ones, the Breezes and the Frontiers, all up in that area. This is going to be it already is a good win as is, but with a full acquisition, with the type of history and experience that United has in this type of space, oh yeah, the JetBlue people are going to severely win overall if that were to happen. But like I said, I wouldn't be surprised if it happened. Just going off of history and experiences, this is how it starts.
Yep. We'll probably have a lot more to say on this as we get more details. What we saw was interesting. I didn't expect to do 7.5 minutes on that, but hey, there we go. Lani's a fan of one airline. I'm a fan of the other. Things happen. But we're going to jump into our topics. And Lani, how about you start us off this week?
Yeah, so my topic is about buy now, pay later. And I know this is not the exact same community as the credit card community, which is why it's buy now, pay later. It's a completely different subset. But I'm sure if you're in this community and you pay attention to current events, you've probably heard some of, if you want to call them strays, that the credit card community is catching because so many people are taking advantage of buy now, pay later, these installment loans of, I want to buy Beyonce tickets. I want to buy DoorDash, which is absolutely absurd that you're going to break your $13 burrito bowl into 4 installment plans. But they're defaulting, which is leaving a bad taste in the financial community, especially on the credit card community, because these people that are defaulting on here the perception is that they also are defaulting it with their credit cards as well. They're not making those proper financial decisions. Now, as more people refuse to continue to pay or pay back their Klarnas, their Afterpays, purchases, this has reopened the conversation of the $1 trillion of U.S. credit card debt, because Klarna has just put out, they were like $100-something million in debt for people that are defaulting on their buy now, pay laters. So my question is, how can this community, one, keep ourselves separated, because we have nothing to do with that, because we're all more financially savvy and financially responsible people. How can we keep us as good actors in the credit card space that are avoiding interest, paying everything off every single month, away from that community that are not good actors. But more importantly, what would you like to see from credit card companies or in this buy now, pay later space that could actually end up benefiting us as good actors? And what I mean by that, so I'll go first, is when I was thinking of this, especially thinking of the bad actors that are buying flights, hotels, vacations, Beyonce tickets, etc., doing that first payment and never coming back again. What if someone like Amex was like, we'll do buy now, pay later, and we'll give you 10x, but you only get 10 points per dollar after you finish paying us back after your last installment, as long as you do it on time. So it's one payment every 2 weeks. So when your 8 weeks are up, you finish it off, we'll give you 10x on that purchase. I think something like that could actually help benefit us as the good actors of the game versus these people are just defaulting and whatnot. And now we're all taking a hit, which is probably why credit card companies are like, I want nothing to do with this. Keep that over there. And as someone in the financial space, keep that away from me too, because it can now be perceived badly for as someone that has 9 credit cards, 15 credit cards. And it's like, oh, you must not be doing financial stuff as well. So how do we keep it separate? And what would you like to see credit card companies do to help benefit, or hypothetically, that's not a real answer, but what would be a fun thing to see credit card companies do to benefit us as good actors? Hopefully you understood that. Matt, I'm going to jump to you first on this one.
Sure. So we actually do already see American Express engaging on this. If you have an American Express card that is capable of doing buy now, pay later, I think this is mostly, or American Express's name for it is not buy now, pay later. It is American Express. It's not after, but American Express
I think.
pay over time. There we go. That is the name. American Express will actually have offers on cards that are pay over time eligible, where if you activate pay over time, they're going to give you like 20,000 membership reward points. And then you just have to pay off your pay over time completely. I think that them setting up a reward structure and them setting up a reward structure for folks who are already in their system is good. Make a purchase with pay over time activated and get 10x membership reward points for that purchase upon completion. That sounds amazing. That American Express would do really well by that. I think the bigger problem though, especially when it comes to buy now, pay later, and to a much lesser extent, like credit card YouTubers do hammer home, they try to hammer as often as possible, pay your balance off in full or make sure you're never paying interest, right? Whether that be pay your balance off in full, if you're working a 0% offer, that you're paying at least the minimum payment on time, be that as it may. But there's a certain discipline that the credit card community and financial creators try to talk about that is largely ignored by vast swath of folks who are not financially literate, who will jump into the buy now, pay later because it's you get the instant gratification, give me the thing now and I'm not going to worry about it. And I think that's a lot of what drives the buy now, pay later defaults is I got my dopamine hit and I can live consequence free. And it's one thing with Klarna or Afterpay, and like they can't come after you. And part of why I think Klarna and Afterpay, they can, but it's a lot different for Klarna to put a deferment or a wage garnishment on your paycheck as opposed to American Express, Discover, Capital One. There's a longer history of your credit card companies garnishing your wages than Klarna and Afterpay and Affirm and whoever else. But you are starting to see some moves from those companies where they're going to start like it's getting set up that those companies' short-term loans, the buy now, pay laters, are getting reported to your credit score. So that will be a small part of starting to create better actors, because now it's a question now when finance YouTubers or those who talk about finance or those who try to educate on finance, they're going to bring up, hey, that Klarna purchase that you did, that purchase through Klarna that you did, is now going to show up on your credit score. Now that is a portion of paying your bills on time every month that gets reflected in your score. And this part of your score, your ability to pay and pay on time, is worth 35% of your score. Yes, it's worth 35% of your score. So like that part will start to change. It's going to take way too long. Honestly, given how long Klarna, Afterpay, Affirm, all of these companies have been in existence, it should have been implemented years ago. But the credit card companies have started setting up their own system. There's Chase Afterpay. Is it Afterpay? Chase has a system that is similar, but is not exactly buy now, pay later. But you can do, Chase Pay Over Time. You have American Express's Pay Over Time feature, and you could see Wells and Citi and Capital One do the same sort of thing, where the good thing that they can do with their credit card customers, their charge card customers, is reward them for successfully completing these things. And if they're bringing in new customers who are new to payment, giving them even higher rewards than the seasoned credit card savvy users like my colleagues and myself. We don't need an extra 20,000 points. We're going to turn it on because give me the 20,000 points. I'm going to go turn that into 40,000 Hilton points. Like, I know what I'm doing here. Somebody brand new to this, give them a 50,000 point reward. Give them a card that they're not necessarily going to get a welcome offer on. There was a card, if you got charged off of American Express, I think it's the Optio card. I want to say it was called the Optio, but you got charged off from American Express. You were put on the American Express bad list for a while. And the only way that you were going to get back in with American Express was getting this card and proving to American Express that you were capable of the responsibilities of having an American Express card. Like cards like that are for rebuilding or starting your credit journey, don't start with a welcome offer. Start with systems that folks are aware of, buy now, pay later type systems, except it's controlled by American Express. It's controlled by Chase. It's controlled by Wells. It's controlled by whoever. Give them the dopamine hit, not only of letting them make that purchase, but then a bigger dopamine hit of a bigger reward structure after they complete payment. Like just flipping the switch and giving a 20,000 membership reward points is great. We're going to turn the switch off and we're going to wait for you to give us another 20,000 points next month and still pay our card off in full every time and give you a broken flywheel of we're just going to keep collecting points as long as you're going to give us this offer. Whereas someone who's new to credit, someone who's not as financially literate, but starting that journey, they should get 50, 60,000 points. They shouldn't get a welcome offer necessarily, but complete 2 or 3 of these buy now, pay later adjacent programs within our credit card system will give you 60,000 points. Like that would be awesome for the credit card companies to do, because you're not going to see Affirm or Klarna or Afterpay or any of them be able to reward you for completing your purchase. They're just going to get you on to the next one so that they can charge whatever additional fees into their fee structure that they can do to keep running things, to keep the lights on. Sorry, that was a very long-winded answer.
No, but I agreed with it, and I like your perspective. Before I comment back with anything, RJ, let me pass the mic to you.
So I think the problem is a couple-fold, and some we can fix as a community and some we can't, right? Like they don't teach how to balance a checkbook or financial literacy or what is a credit card in school anymore. Like I was at the tail end of having home economics where like we actually got fake checkbooks and had to learn how to use them, right? Like you learned how to actually write a check. Those basics are just not in school anymore. And like a lot of parents don't write checks, so they're not teaching their kids how to write checks. They're not balancing a checkbook. They're pulling up their app. Hey, I've got $2,000 in my checking account. Guess I can go use that money, right? And they're not necessarily tracking things. So that is not something our community has a giant control over, but I do think the credit card community now and then taking a moment to being like, hey, all of this is connected, right? Buy now, pay later is connected. Your banking, your basic banking information is connected. Your credit cards are connected. Make sure your entire house is in order. Don't just focus on travel points and not paying interest here if everything else is a mess, right? Just because your entryway and your dining room is really nice, if I walk into your kitchen and it's a mess, I'm not going to think your house is really nice, right? Because two rooms do not make the entire house. So, us just talking about things in a way that is not judgmental, because I think people who don't know any better, quote, don't know any better, if you're condescending or judgmental to them, they're just going to shut down, right? Because it feels harsh to be like, why don't you know that you shouldn't use Klarna? If the person genuinely doesn't know, and then you just sound like a jerk, whether you're right or not. So I do think some of the judgment we as a community, like, we need to not necessarily judge in a way that is going to turn people off and be more, hey, so you know, if you're going to do a purchase on your Amex card, you can do it this way instead of using Klarna. It'll be more controlled. You'll have a little bit better thing. The Amex app, haven't done one, but I've looked at it a couple times just to get a familiarity with it, and it lays it out very nicely. Like the Chase one lays it out very nicely. It explains all the terms, it explains the interest, it does a really good job. And they're monthly, so it's not something where you're every 2 weeks, so it gives you potentially a little breathing room on that second paycheck. But I think we need to talk about it. I think the credit card community can have a little of that tech bro feeling sometimes. And some people respond better to that than others, right? If you're somebody is getting into it, who maybe has had a bunch of debt in the past, or who comes from a different financial situation, like, you can be very sensitive to that condescending feeling. And I think sometimes as a community, like, we are more condescending than we mean to be until somebody calls it out. And I think us working on that in general will help more women, more people from maybe a lower economic background who maybe have now gotten a higher economic background and are trying to figure out these things that they just didn't learn as a kid. Like, I know adults in their 60s and 70s in my area, like in my family tree, who have never had a credit card because what they grew up in was not a situation where anybody was going to have a credit card. And then as an adult, they just use the debit card or cash. And now that they're older, they just don't see the point in their 60s and 70s of getting a credit card. Talking to somebody like that versus talking to somebody who blew a bunch of money at 22, like, you have to have some amount of ability to communicate that, right? Like, we as a community need to be better communicators for people who are not just, I make $200,000 a year and I have these credit cards and I want to fly business class to Europe 6 times a year. As a community, we can talk to those people really well. We don't necessarily have the tools, again, as a community, to talk to people of varying situations. So I think we can get better at that. I do agree giving rewards to people who use sort of those pay tools inside Amex and Chase and others would be very helpful. I have all of that stuff turned off. The ones on the charge cards, I have that stuff turned off for rolling over payments. Amex, you want to give me an offer? I'll turn it back on. I'll never use it, but I will turn it back on if you give me that offer. But they have not yet, so I don't have it on. But yeah, I think that as a community, sometimes how we talk about partners and kids and family members is not always great. And I think that leads into some people who really genuinely could use the help of the community not getting it because they feel like they're being condescended to. And that is not a great thing for our community to necessarily be known for. Again,
Yeah.
neither of my co-hosts have this problem. I have talked to both of them, and they are both as genuine as you would think from the show, but the community as a whole.
Again, RJ, sorry, you were part of the broken flywheel that I was mentioning.
I wasn't expecting such deep answers from my two co-hosts on this one, so I'm actually pretty proud of my question this week. But yeah, it's a financial payment offering. And just like anything, you can mess it up. You can mess it up. They didn't mess it up by offering it to you. You messed it up by not doing what you were supposed to be doing. Put that in a nutshell. Anyway, I hand the mic back to you, Matt.
Thank you, Lani. No, great topic this week. I used to joke a lot when I first got my Wells Fargo credit cards that Wells Fargo was completely irresponsible in trusting me with the amount of credit line that they gave me. No, they knew what they were doing for a couple years, but now that I have the knowledge that I do, I can use that to my advantage. But Klarna, Afterpay, all of those services, it's still a contract. It's still it's still a guaranteed note of payment that you're expected to follow these rules. So follow them rules. All right, so we'll jump to my topic. In this hobby, a lot of the travel done is incorrectly labeled as free. Now, what it really is prepaid, but how far is too far in prepaying your travels? Now, this is not to put down welcome offers. This is not to put down your general everyday spend being turned into prepayment for a family vacation or anything like that. But there are other methods in this community that are widely discussed that you're still paying thousands of dollars to potentially save a couple of grand, but you're not focusing on the thousands of dollars that you spent, whether it be on welcome offer, continuous welcome offers, or no lifetime language welcome offers, or engineering no lifetime language offers. And then there's the dark arts that are manufactured spend. But RJ, how far is too far in prepaying for your travel?
So I think this is more individual than one would imagine. Like for Lonnie, he books out a year, sometimes more in advance, but he also knows himself, right? Like he knows if I book a trip a year from now, I'm going to take that trip. Like I'm going to have the points available here. I'm going to book it for here. We're going to be able to go. I'm going to have the PTO. Life is good, right? Like your kid is a certain age, so you can take him out of whatever and go. And that works. For me, I have probably 6 to 9 months of reasonable amount of like assurance to be able to book something out, right? Other people like might have 2 years, they might have 6 months. It really is going to depend on you. And I think people need to look at the last 2 to 3 years of your life. And if you've never been able to book something out and have it actually happen or be able to do that, then you're probably not going to want to book a vacation 2 years from now and have any reasonable amount of success, or try to build points for a vacation 2 years from now if you've never been successfully able to complete that. So I do think that there's some individual components, but I think people need to look at your habits. If you're somebody like I am somebody, and we've talked about this, I am I have 3 packed bags if something happens that I can grab depending on the situation to leave my house within 15 minutes. Actually, probably by the time it takes me to put on a pair of jeans, I could be ready to leave my house with those packed bags. Like I can just go. Some of that is family members who are might need me or things like that, right? But I am that level of prepared. And when I plan a vacation, I am that level of prepared. If you're not that level of prepared, that's perfectly fine. And most people aren't, to be fair. This is a me thing. But if you're not, then trying to amass a bunch of points haphazardly is probably not going to lead to business class to Europe for 15,000 points, right? Like you have to look at who you are. And if you don't like who you are as a travel person, then you should start making gradual steps instead of trying to like do the old adage of this is the to-do list that will fix every personality flaw I've ever had. Like, probably one to-do list is not going to do that, right? So start putting smaller things, plan a long weekend trip and build up the points. Some people just hate building up points. They rather pay cash for it and then do other things, right? So figure out what kind of traveler you are, figure out how far you can reasonably book. Some people have jobs where they can't book very far out because of whatever. If you have a job that's unpredictable, don't try to book far out. Like maybe amass some points so you can book something more flexibly, but you have to figure yourself out. You have to figure out what you actually will do and not what in a perfect scenario you want to do, and then go from there. If you have something like Chase or Amex, keeping 100,000 points there so you have some flexibility if something pops up is always great. But don't keep 500, 700, 900,000 points on the idea of, I just need to have these points. So if the perfect opportunity comes up, I'll be there. And then the perfect opportunity never comes up and you die with 900,000 like Chase points because you waited 20 years to spend those points waiting for that perfect moment, right? Don't do that. As Lani is like to say, have an exit strategy for the points, have an idea of what you want to do. If you have a honeymoon in a year and a half, that is a reasonable thing to build up for. But also involve your partner. Have it be a big plan. Don't just have it be a thing that you're like, oh yeah, I got to build all the points or I'm going to get 19 subs in 5 different currencies. Probably, unless everything is going to Avios, because Avios is what, Matt?
An Avios is an Avios.
It is. If you have something like that's one thing, but know who you are. That is how I have to answer this question, Matt. Know who you are and go from there.
Perfectly sensible. Lani, how far is too far in prepaying for your travels?
Yeah, I was writing down a note for my answer to make sure I didn't forget to say it. But I'm going to start off with how far is too far. And then the blanket answer is unless the airline or hotel allows you to book, then that's too far plus whatever day it is. But I don't necessarily believe there's too far because nowadays, and depending on where you're at financially, depending on where you're at when it comes to your planning or your strategy, and they're not all synonymous with each other. So they can be 3 independent verticals or categories that you want to engage there. But now you can actually plan even further than that. So think of all-inclusive resort, a rest resort. Maybe you're booking your honeymoon and you actually are one of those few that wants to go to Bora or the Maldives. These are things like if you go look them up today, you can book them for 2027. Cruise lines are another one. Go to any cruise line. I'm pretty loyal to Royal, so go to Royal Caribbean and look at some of their ships. Some ships aren't even finished being built yet. They haven't even been delivered yet. And yet you can start booking them for late 2026, early 2027, those types of things. And then, of course, the big cheese himself, Disney. People plan for Disney trips years in advance, save up money for years to go on those types of things. So as for too far in advance, pick your poison. Do you need that much time? Not too many people can take a $7,000, $10,000 all-inclusive resort cruise ship, maybe a Disney trip, short notice. Oh, you want to go next month? Let's go half on half, Matt. It's going to cost you $5,000. I'll come up with my other $5,000. There's a lot of people who are like, I ain't going to be able to make it. There's also a lot of people that'll say, all right, we're going to put this on some buy now, pay later. And we're just going to hope for the best.
Or some buy now, pay never.
So that's what I consider far or too far in advance. Now, the first part of your question, free. Now, I'm someone that at times I will still say I don't like to pay for my vacations. You really got to read between the lines to understand that. But if you're going to take that for face value on layman's terms, no, I'm actually paying for my vacation. Yeah, as you mentioned in your question, it's prepaid in some way, shape, or form. And even when I go on vacation, I'm still paying for something. I got to pay to eat.
Yeah.
I might have to pay a resort fee, even though I've already booked it. Something of that nature. Those types of things happen depending on how you book, of course. But there is different levels of prepay. The first is annual fee. I no longer see annual fees as just annual fees unless you're using it I'm not even going to say 100% as intended. But I like to say an annual fee is just an advanced purchase for something else that you're trying to get anyway, especially when you get to the higher ones. And I mentioned this in my Hilton Aspire video from a month or so ago, where it's a $550 annual fee. You get a free night certificate just for being approved, just by accepting the card. You get a free night certificate. That free night certificate you can instantly use on anything as long as it's a standard room award. So that's a prepay. You just prepaid $550 to get whatever you're going to use that free night certificate on versus just buying it. You might get it at a discount depending on how you use that free night certificate. Now, the other aspect of not necessarily free is how RJ was mentioning how we decide to use our points and the exit strategy of it. Now, one line I actually do, and I will get behind is don't pay twice for a vacation. It's the reason why I got into credit cards, points, and point stacking in the first place. And that is you have a set amount of monthly required spend. You have to pay your car insurance. You have to pay your roof, your rent, or your mortgage. You have to buy food. Like you have to pay your utilities, your water, your heat, etc. You can optimize your credit cards for all of that. Get as many points as possible, and then for everything else, point stack it. That is, you want to go to Adidas website, point stack it. You want to go to Lululemon, point stack it. Those types of things. And being that you're already going to have to pay for at least those finite things guaranteed, but all the other frivolous things you're going to end up paying for anyway. We all buy a little of something every single month. If you optimize your spend, then you work all day. You have to spend all this money on this stuff, and you'd rather spend it on something else. And then you need a break, and then you want to go buy a vacation. Now you have to pay for a vacation. And that's where my term of don't pay twice for a vacation comes from. Use all that spend to earn those points that you can now use for that vacation. Now, will it be 100% free? No, because you spent money to get the points to redeem them for that flight, for that hotel, for that trip. But at least it's going to be cheaper. It's going to be subsidized, and you're not paying twice. You're not buying all that stuff and then buying a vacation. You're buying all that stuff and optimizing that point spend that you earn to pay for a vacation. So I won't necessarily say it's free, but I would definitely say you earned it.
That definitely makes a good amount of sense. Far more sense than I think I was trying to make with the question.
That's a good episode.
Yeah.
Hit that like button, y'all.
Smash subscribe along the way. No, I just want to make sure that as folks define their vacations, as they take on the strategies to build out their points, that they're not thinking about their trip as a free trip anywhere. Like they put in a massive amount of work and hopefully didn't put in a massive amount of spend just to justify the points that they've put together. Yeah, there's some things that I've noticed where I'm like, did you have to do that? I don't know. Yeah, you're sitting first class in JAL, or you're sitting first class in A, you're in A&A the room, but what's your credit card bill looking like after? Because of the points that you built up to get A&A the room. Same thing with Emirates, or same thing with, what's the other one I'm trying to think of? Etihad. Like those big experiences, don't overpay for those. Thanks, Lani. Thanks, RJ. RJ, your topic this week.
So I have some pet peeves in the credit card community. I think we all do. So I asked my co-hosts to come up with a few of their, it doesn't have to be your favorite pet peeve, it doesn't even have to be a big pet peeve. One of my biggest and the ones that annoys me the most is when I go into the Wells Fargo app to look at my choice card, it will not give me the information on like my points with choice. But if I go into the Amex app, it'll give me my Hilton and my Delta. If I go into the Chase app, it will give me my IHG. Just let me see the number of points I have with the co-brand of which I have a card with you. That is not hard. That is a pet peeve. That is one of those little pet peeves. Poorly designed apps in general is a pet peeve for me. Using the word hack when it is not a hack. Matt and I had a conversation with this before Lani got on. Using your points is not hacking them. I'm sorry. If you have to click 2 buttons, it's not a hack. It's just not. Like, that word means nothing anymore. Like, it just means nothing. And it's fine. People use it because of algorithm. I get it. I don't begrudge people using it in videos because of algorithm. I do get that. But let's be a little bit serious. Like, it's not a hack. My third one is more serious. I understand that some people know more than others. But if a person who is newer into credit cards, especially newer into credit cards, is excited about a redemption, don't crap all over that because you feel they didn't do it the right way. You can offer, hey, next time, maybe try X, Y, or Z, but don't take away all of their joy because you think they did it the wrong way. Because ultimately, they're not your points. They didn't hurt you by using their points the way they wanted to. They just did their redemption differently. And I've seen a lot of times people do it, and then you never see that person post again. Or that person is just like, in Discord, that person just shuts down entirely. Because, like, you just shared a thing. And yeah, sometimes they just want a pat on the back, but give them some encouragement and be like, hey, maybe try flying out of this hub instead of that hub for the same United or Delta or whatever, and you might get a little more. Like, you can offer some advice without making them feel like an idiot. So those are 3 of mine. I would love to hear, Lani, some of your pet peeves in credit cards.
Yeah, I don't think I have 3, but I definitely have 2 that just get me. And I already brought up one, and that's effing embossed cards. Why are we still printing numbers, imprinting numbers on the cards? Just make it flat. I don't know how much the machine costs that embosses cards, but I'm sure it's cheaper to just not do it. The ink to just write it on the card to just be cheaper. I have absolutely no idea, but whatever. Just stop doing it. Can we just have flat cards, please? My other one, and I'm not going to take away from you, RJ. I actually like yours as well, especially the hack thing, because then when I really come up with a hack, no one is like, it doesn't really seem like a hack because the word hack has been used too much. Yeah, I do agree with that. It wasn't on my list though, but I liked it. But my number one is flexing your card like it gives you clout. Man, y'all need to go sit down in the corner. I'm sorry. I don't care what card it is you got. I don't care if it's metal. I love me a metal card. I'll say it all day. Make my cards flat and metal. I am happy with a slightly heavier wallet. But just because your card is metal does not mean that you are more special. Just because your card is black, and I'm not talking about the black card, I'm just saying it's black, does not make you more special. And can we finally put it to rest? You are not special because you have an Amex Platinum. You have a decent credit score.
So I should not get that Amex Platinum tattoo that I was going to get.
Do you, girl? Do you? I ain't mad at you. Knock yourself out. But it does not mean you're rich. It does not mean that you are some social elite in any way. It might make a good sound depending on the angle that it hits the table, but that is about it. I will give that its credit right there. It makes a pretty fun sound. But if we're all sitting at a table and you flash out your Amex Platinum at the restaurant and throw that down on the table like you the big dog, I'm going to let you pay. I'm not going to think any more of you. I just saved me $75 from my steak and potatoes because you want to act like you're all that. I got one too, but it's at home because there's absolutely no reason for me to carry it outside of the house. So you can go ahead and pay tonight, player. Go ahead, take all that. I won't even share the tip with you. I'll just go ahead and say I need to go to the bathroom, or I'll just go pick up my car. You got the platinum. You're the big dog tonight. All right? There is no card that makes you special. I wouldn't even say the Amex Black card does not make you special. That just means you're rich. Let's just be real. that just makes you rich. It means you're rich because it costs a lot to buy into it than the annual fee and to hold on to it and all that other stuff. I can live without it. It doesn't actually do any extra thing for you. And for all y'all that's been to the Amex Centurion Lounge, yeah, I don't care which one you've been in, the little black card section is pretty sad for the amount of money it takes to get a black card. Yes, you have a dedicated place to sit and everyone can look at you like you're first class as Group 5 boards the airplane, but it's literally the same blue chair, maybe next to a window, and a bowl of fruit. And you know what they also got around the corner at the buffet? A bowl of fruit. They filled it up with the exact same fruit, y'all. It doesn't make you more special. It really doesn't. Man, that's my biggest pet peeve is when someone has a card and they're like, oh yeah, now I'm now big dog because I got this. No, you're not. You just got a good credit score. Maybe you did some proper financial decisions. And no one can see your digital wallet also, by the way. So
yeah.
Even if you got an Aspire card, yeah, you got diamond status. Guess what? The only people that care are the people checking you in. The people standing in line behind you don't give a shit. Does not matter. So
now I'm
all right,
trying to
Wusa.
picture I'm
Wusa.
trying to picture my platinum, but with the shade of purple of the Delta Reserve, and that would be a really pretty card. Matt, a man who has never had a pet peeve a day in his life, did you drum up a few for this question?
That's clearly a lie. One of my biggest pet peeves, also in the Wells Fargo app, Wells Fargo does not give you the total number of points on your purchase. You have to go fish and find each transaction and make sure that the transactions line up the way that they're supposed to. A lot of people will say, oh, the Wells Fargo Tune doesn't get 4% on Amazon like Matt says it does. No, it does. It's just stupid the way that Wells Fargo sets up the reward structure in the app to show you. Now, there are technological things or whatever. Buy a better coder. Hire a better coder. Like there are coders at Chase who could use a challenge. Import them. Hire them. Give them more money. It's easy. So that one is a pretty big pet peeve. When it comes to cards themselves, there are cards that are carbon copies of each other. The only difference is one is a $99 annual fee. The other just happens to be, I don't know, a $499 annual fee. And the $499 annual fee only has one or two extra bells and whistles. You're paying a stupid amount of money for the same card. Don't do that. Also, cards in terms of flexing, there's only one card that is like really flex worthy. And unless you're a member of the Dubai royal family, you ain't got that card. This is the one that has a diamond embedded in the card and has no limit. And like you want to go buy a Maserati on the card, the bank just clears it for you right then and there. Even Amex don't do that. Other pet peeves, things like the attitude that a sub is always, while mathematically a welcome offer is always a better return on spend than your typical spend. Not everyone has the taste to go after a welcome offer every three weeks. Not everyone has the credit profile to go after a welcome offer every 3 weeks. And there's a certain sort of like mentality that starts to build amongst folks who probably shouldn't be applying for cards with the velocity that I'm noticing some folks apply for cards, that the only justification for it is the only justification that seems to be presented in their subtext is I need this to sit at the cool table. Whereas if they chill, as our wandering and as our on assignment co-host likes to mention, if they just chill out, like they could reassess and figure out if card X actually meets their needs, instead of I need to hit this welcome offer, I need to hit this welcome offer, I need to hit this welcome offer, and I need everyone to approve me for like the welcome offers that I'm going down. And encouraging folks that they have to go the welcome offer path above all else is a concern of mine and a bit of a pet peeve, because not everyone can do that. And encouraging folks to try to do that is I don't have the right adjective at the moment, but it's not great, guys. It's not great. There are folks who are chasing multiple welcome offers or back-to-back welcome offers that probably shouldn't. And you shouldn't encourage people to go that route if they don't have the means or education, or it's not even, I'm not trying to say this as a class thing. I'm not trying to say this as anything other than there are folks new to the game who enter the game and try to run a marathon on nothing more than a bag of Frito-Lays and half a Gatorade instead of building up to it, instead of training. And you ain't getting far on Frito-Lays, a half a Gatorade, and all the lactic acid that's going to kill you at mile 3.5.
Also, don't eat that before you sit next to me on an airplane either.
Yeah, probably a bad idea, especially if they're the flavored Frito-Lays, like the chili ones. Yeah, don't do that. Lani's not going to be happy with you.
Or Haribo gummy bears. Leave them at Hudson News. Do not eat them before you get on the plane, please.
Leave those things in Germany. How did they get here?
Right
They're
now,
good.
if you get the Haribo, you might not get on the plane because apparently there are some additives in a couple of bags that have made people space out.
I'm just saying, they're good gummy bears. It's just they're not good for your gut at 30,000 feet in a pressurized cabin or anyone sitting next to you. Not
See, that's
speaking
how
from
Lani.
experience. I'm just saying I'm on airplanes long enough to know the secret sauce of the Haribo gummy bear.
That's why Lani only books Polaris now. One experience too many. No, don't open the Haribo. I'm moving up to Polaris. Thank you. Bye-bye. Yeah, I think those are three pretty big ones. Three pretty good ones. Wells Fargo, fix your damn app. Hire some coders. Steal them from Amex. Steal them from Chase. You know what to do. Pay them a little bit of money. Do that. Make a better app. And don't lead people astray in this community. Anyway.
My final one before I turn it back over to Matt to close the show is people of credit card design. Not every card needs to be blue. Like, we can have other colors other than blue. That would be great. I would like a few other options. Thank you.
I would actually like to customize mine. Like the design could be the same. Going back to Amex Platinum, every Amex Platinum can have the exact same design, but I should be able to like customize, for example, the color. If I wanted more of a titanium look, a brushed metal look, maybe if I wanted a color, red, green, something of that nature, blue. Now, I would say black is off the wall because I actually have a black card, but I think that part could be fun. And even though I do every so often, I'm a white American Express gold card holder with the white gold color. When they did that limited edition, I find it's a good looking card. It's still just a card. Who gives two craps? It's still just a card. But I like the way that it looked. But it's also not available anymore. So for those that are like doing upgrade, downgrade, it's man, you're gonna downgrade to a green and go back to a gold, but you're gonna get classic gold because you can't get to the white gold anymore. And then you're just holding on to a white gold card for the sake of it. And now it's literally not doing anything. I would like to have that ability to customize them. I know there are companies you send your card to and then they can make your card into something else, but whatever. I would just be like, here are a couple of designs. Here are a couple of colors, even if it's not fully custom, but here's a couple of colors and just make it fun.
Put an acetate rim all around your card.
Maybe. What's wrong with that?
Works for my face.
But yeah, a brush metal, I would even just take brush silver metal. It's getting scratched anyway. It's going to be brushed in a couple of years. So just give it to me now.
That would look good.
Or mirror finish. That would be hard though. a mirror finish would be, and I don't mean hard as in that would be awesome, because somebody out there thinking that their platinum card gives them some clout is going to be flashing that mirror card, and you're going to get some sunbeams directly in the eye.
I pulled my platinum out of my wallet, and well, that was your first mistake.
Warning, please do not bring your mirror finish American Express platinum cards into the wilderness while you're hiking. Ooh, carbon fiber credit card.
Yeah, I think that would be hot.
It's all in the chip now anyway, so like the
It's all
card
in the chip.
itself can be made of anything. Like have
It's
some
not even
fun.
the chip. It was always this chip in the strip, and you can always do something with it. Yeah, I think a carbon fiber card would be sick. That would actually be hard. And my wallet wouldn't weigh a pound because I got 2 metal cards sitting in it.
On my Sapphire Reserve in a carbon fiber finish, I want my American Express platinum card to be, what's another one?
Titanium's very light metal, so I'd be okay with 1 titanium, 1 carbon fiber.
If Goldman Sachs can afford to make titanium for the Apple Card, then Amex can afford titanium for
Oh, yeah. Or like a little strip of Kevlar.
And there's levels of titanium. We're not talking about like the super expensive titanium that's like on a spaceship. We're talking about the titanium that's on like your iPhone, folks. Like we can get some pretty decent cost titanium.
Yeah, there are
Yes.
watches that are pretty cheap with titanium that it's like grade 2 titanium. Like it's fine.
Exactly.
Or if you want to go the complete opposite direction, just get a tungsten credit card.
No.
I don't need a paperweight out of a credit card now.
I'm using that more for house defense. Anyway. Hey, if the criminal wants what's in my wallet, he better be able to pick up my wallet. If you can't pick up my wallet, you can't get what's inside it.
I'm waiting for the unobtainium credit card.
And the vibranium one too.
Yeah. It's actually made out of a chunk of Thor's hammer. You have to really be worthy to pick that credit card up.
The card just chooses you at that point. Is unobtainium hard to obtain? I ask you this. All right. Any final thoughts out there?
No, that last little segment, that last little bit we just did, it was very fun.
Absolutely. Should do
You
it
know
again
where
sometime.
people can find us, Matt? If they want to find us?
Believe if people want to find us and find out more of these shenanigans that we do, check out the new stackyourpoints.com. We have a video feed for our most recent videos. We have the audio feed there. We have links to the Discord. Join the Stack Your Points Discord. All 3 of us are in the Stack Your Points Discord. Links to our channels are all on stackyourpoints.com, and a contact us page is there to submit questions. You can also submit questions on the Stack Your Points Discord link at stackyourpoints.com. That's going to do it for this week's episode. We look forward to seeing you guys next week. Thanks so much for watching. Bye for now.